Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. And then Kate, are we all live and set up here and good to go? Welcome. Thank you everybody this evening. Well, 1 after the hour, we'll get started. And I believe if I keep my loud voice on, everybody's been able to hear. They were able to hear last time. So if you can't, can everybody hear okay? All the way back. Okay, awesome. All right, so welcome to our second community area plan community meeting tonight. I am Valerie Clausen. I'm the owner of Planning Outpost, which is a land use and municipal consulting firm, and we specialize in general plans, special area plans, zoning implementation, and public engagement services, what we're here tonight on. I've been a land planner for over 22 years, and I've worked both sides. I've worked for the municipalities and the jurisdictions, and then I started my firm in 21, recognizing a real need for residents to be heard, right? Like being able to have a process where input's taken and there isn't preconceived notions. There aren't boilerplate plans sitting on my computer that I pull over and just say, oh, well, this is what's best for them. It's being able to actually hear what the residents are saying and have a plan that reflects the desires of the community. I also have here Larry Clausen. No, that's it. Okay, he's gonna be short. And then
I'm Larry Clausen. I'm her other half. She drugged me into the whole planning world because of my experience with public engagement. I've been working with groups, small groups, large groups throughout my entire career to be able to find those common themes, to be able to build out with the plans or the expectations that the residents have needed. So today I'll be helping out with the public engagement component after Valerie's introduction.
And then we want to thank county staff. We have a number of them here. So Kate's helping pass stuff out. County administrator, Chris is in the back. We have Vaughn here. Sorry, Commissioner Vaughn, that's not your last name. If I missed anybody else. And so thank you very much. All right, so what we're going to accomplish tonight. First, we're going to have a discussion on what a general plan is and what it is not. We'll go over a brief project overview of this particular project, and then we will have the activities and then the wrap up and the breakout session in the back for those who would want to join us back there. All right, what a general plan is. It is a long range and strategic document that guides the county's growth, development, and vision. And it's long range, again, it's long range. So it's going to be 10 to 20 years. And it's in essence the playbook, right, of the community that says, hey, this is, if you're wanting to develop, this is what we envision our future development to look like. And if you want to have that similar kind of development, then here's what we're going by. It's comprehensive, it's public driven and policy based. It coordinates development. It qualifies for grants and funding. So a lot of times when the county needs to go out and get money, that organization that's going to be doing the grant is going to want to know that like the staffer didn't just make it up that day, that it's been vetted through a public process. And so general plans can often support to getting funding and grant because you have it in a plan. It helps preserve identity and it's proactive planning instead of reactive. So what residents are used to is they're used to seeing the sign posted on the property, not so much in Utah. In other states, signs are posted on property that says there's going to be some kind of zone change, and they come there and they don't understand why the city or the county can approve it, but it meets law. But what they missed was the beginning long range vision that said, oh, this is what we were saying we were going to develop that way. And so this is why this is so important, but it ends up being very missed often because nobody realizes that this is where the visioning and those framework is set up for what then becomes the laws that then institute those decisions. So a planning process is very methodical. It starts with project initiation, the existing conditions and analysis. That's the phase we're in right now. And we're also in the community engagement portion. Community engagement happens throughout the entire thing. And then the vision and guiding principles are established, and that's what we're accomplishing tonight and starting to gather all of that information. And then the land use and growth framework, which is typically the land use, the future land use map, although there are other components to the general plan. The main question that the general plan answers is what kind of community do we want to be and how will we get there? And then there's those supporting questions listed there. What a general plan is not, it is not the same as zoning or the county laws. It is not, it is a policy document and is not a law. It is not just a land use map, although that is an important component of the plan. That is probably the most common thing that's looked for when you're needing to do research in the plan or about a project. But it's going to have other elements to it that are either required by state statute, so water element, transportation, land use, and affordable housing. Those are all required by state law. But then you have other components that are going to just be important to that community, right? So some communities are going to find historic preservation very important, or their recreation and things like that. And so your general plan is what is important to the community itself. And then it's not a guarantee for a rezoning or a specific business. Sometimes there's a misunderstanding because people are like, well, I have to have Trader Joe's and I need much more sit-down restaurants and it's not that guarantee, but what it does is it creates the environment of your community so you can attract those kind of things that you do want. And so that is the summary about the general plan. Project overview. So in the context of a robust public engagement plan, it will reflect the current desires and vision of the county residents. It will create or update the community plan so it's in a single cohesive and actionable document. Instead of kind of all over the place, it can all read as one whole thing. Then the adoption also is important to have the state law requirements. So we'll include that. And then having the implementation for the next steps. So the public engagement plan first here, not ordered in any importance or anything. I have to clarify that from Monday. So there's the legal requirements. So the county really can, like in theory, they can have a public hearing at planning commission and adopt a plan and then bring that forward to council. That is not at all with this county. The county is not doing that. The county has made it important, and that was made at that first kickoff meeting with commissioners of having public engagement. However, in this project, there will be the public hearings. There'll also be a couple of work sessions. That is very standard for these projects, is to have a couple work sessions, usually joint work sessions with planning commission and council. Then this project has a project website, and the county website has like info and links to that. Like you can get to it from the county website. That's 24/7. So when you can't sleep at night and you're wondering what's going on with this project, you can go to the project website and see where it's at. Depending on what phases, there are going to be different things. Right now, there's a survey that's available. Toward the end, there'll be a review comment period, and you can review the plan. And so that's available all the time. And then there's specialists that can answer questions that you have that aren't answered. Then we have, as I mentioned, the survey right now, open through the 24th. So right before Thanksgiving. And then the small group meetings, those are going to be just a couple of virtual meetings for those that have resources out. For instance, like the school districts typically are involved in just saying, hey, what are you doing? And here's our thoughts and things like that. Transportation. So there's going to be UDOT specialists and things like that that will meet throughout the process as well. And then we have these workshops, open houses and events. So we had, as I mentioned, a kickoff meeting with the county commission and the planning commission. And we had that the 1st of October. And then we're now to these community workshops. And this is the second meeting of a series of 4. And then in the spring, tentatively scheduled probably end of April, will be the open houses where you'll be able to come and see how the plan has progressed to that point. It'll be more plan oriented. It won't be as much, it won't be this vision and values focus. It'll be more the exhibit of the plan. And you'll be able to attend whatever meeting will work best for you. We'll do a series of 3. And then last but not least, when the project starts to come to culmination, we'll have the final plan forums. We'll have 2 nights where you can come by and you'll see the final exhibit and be able to talk about the plan at that point. Yeah.
Is that all going to be attached to that particular website?
Yes.
County.
PlanetUSA.com. Yep.
So if you go to.
And then in Morgan County,
Everything you're talking about will be dumped into that. website.
yes.
Well, I won't have to try to find someplace.
No, it's the hub of the project. It's the compository of everything that we're compiling that will be there. So, yeah. Great question. Thank you. And thank you for asking. If there's any other questions, because we'll have here in a second too that as well. So we're looking at approximately 14 months. It's a year and a half. That's not uncommon, especially for projects this size. And so we are right now, again, mentioned that we are in the existing conditions phase, and then the public engagement of getting input before we head off drafting. And then water use and preservation elements. So the state requires adoption of that chapter by December. And so we have somehow kicked that off in record time in terms of having a draft plan. And that is what is also current on the website. So particularly the state requires water, like providers, those who, and even it can be very small water providers, opportunity to comment on a water use and preservation chapter. And so that is the main focus right now, is to get that adopted in time. And so they're scheduled for public hearing at Planning Commission next week, and then the County Commission December 2nd. And so we're excited that we're going to be able to have that chapter pretty much wrapped up. All right.
Is that preliminary, secondary?
All of the above. Yes. So,
why ever do that?
because I probably have a bad email address or an address, because we have the information from the state. So we'll talk afterward, because this is why we're doing it, why we're announcing it. So it predominantly it talks about what it is it aligns with the like the state has conservation goals that they require already, and so the county has to say, yep, we know about those. So make sure you come up and give me your information. So we'll find out more. So great question.
Are there any questions about what we're doing tonight before we do projects?
Yes. Are there any?
This website actually can get
As we get those back from you.
Yeah, we're gonna get those back.
So morgancountyutah.gov. So if you go to the county website, bottom left-hand corner, it says general plan. It'll link you directly to that, so you don't have to remember that big long URL.
There, I am right now.
Oh, there's a plan in place, but it's from,
I thought it was 2014.
well, yeah. So. Looks a little different, don't it, than what it did in 2014.
Very good question. Any other?
Plan that's in place, that was the master plan, to be advertised.
Correct. Now, a common question we get, sorry, I'm Kate Becker, I'm the county administrative manager. So if you don't know me, it means I'm doing my job right. So the commission is up here. body right underneath the commission, and then it's the county admin building. So a lot of you probably participated in your area plans, and you're like, I put in all these hours in my area plan. Why are we right back here at the building block? When that plan was developed, it was going to make your area plan an appendices to the general plan, meaning Exhibit A, instead of making it the plan, which is disingenuous to all the time that got put into it, which is why a lot of them weren't passed last year, is because we knew we were going to do this plan. So rather than having it like, here's what the county plan is, oh, and as a sidebar in the back appendices, here's who these individual areas of what they wanted to see. We're making those plans the plan. She has a copy of those plans, but on top of the area today, we're also going to be talking about the county as a whole. This is being recorded, FYI. So if you can use your loud voices, and I'll upload it to our YouTube channel tomorrow. If anyone's unable to be here and wants to hear the conversations that have been happening in all these meetings, they will be recorded. I just can't live stream them. But that's a main part of why we're doing this process. Why do we not do this every year? It's freaking expensive. Like $200K to do this process. But if you do it right, you're setting up the process for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the line, to where we can have those area conversations and update the areas and not have to do the big giant overall plan. I think we can all agree that Morgan County has historically been a handshake farmer agreement county, and unfortunately, people's handshakes aren't worth anything anymore, and everything has to be in writing. So we have the idea and the vision of what people wanted Morgan to be, which is rural, like stop moving here, right? But unless I get that in a plan that I can support and defend and create ordinances to protect, I have nothing to go off of. So right now, it would appear that developers are running your county, and that's not the case. But I don't have the teeth to fight it should it become the case. You are my team. Does that make sense? Do you have any other questions? Okay, the other big two questions we got from Monday night were stakeholders. There's also a list of stakeholders on there. We are not intending for developers to design Morgan County. We would very much like that to not be the case. We want the generational families and the people that live here, pay taxes here, et cetera, to design Morgan County and what that's going to look like for our kids and grandkids and great-grandkids. Those groups, when we say, what's it called, stakeholders, we're thinking Beaver River Restoration, Utah Trails Network, our community and economic opportunity, which is all these boards that you can be on as a county citizen that are made up of county residents, people that just have put in a little bit of extra time because they're on the airport board, or they're on the trails board, or they're on our tourism board. Those are what we mean as stakeholders. We do not mean giant developers as a stakeholder. Are they a stakeholder by definition? Yes, because some own like 20,000 acres in my county. That doesn't mean that their opinion is going to count towards anything when it was the commission's decision that the number one voice we heard first was the areas. That was the whole point, was taking those area plans and making the base plan around that. So that was the stakeholder question. The other one, remind me.
I think we answered the one.
Okay.
Why, like the.
Yeah.
But hey, you did this.
It was hard scramble. So they wrote us hard, right? Harders, right? But yeah, if you have, the other thing is, we've done these plans, we tell the county commission what we want, we tell the county council what we wanted. They do whatever the heck they want. Why are we spending our time when they're gonna do whatever the heck they want? Where's the accountability? That's the business part of every county commissioner and myself and the planning commission in Morgan County. That's your accountability. County government has accountability because you sit next to them in church. You grocery shop at the same grocery store, you buy from the same butcher. Like if you're don't have one of their cell phone numbers in your phone to annoy, I would hope you have mine. I know some of you. So that's your accountability. And also anyone can get on the commission agenda for any any reason under the sun. We've had flooding issues in Hartscrabble we've had on the agenda. We've had speeding issues on Morgan Valley Drive on the agenda. If it's we don't know what we don't know until we don't know it. I don't live in your backyard. I live a block and a half away because I pretty much live here. So this is your opportunity to tell us what we don't know and what you want to see. So when we do this process, yes, we're talking about the area, but we're also talking about the county as a whole. If what's important to you is that when you drive down 84, you see a bunch of sheep and cattle, that's what we want to know, because we now have the ability, thank you legislature for doing something right, where our rollback money isn't going to the state, we get to keep it all. So if that means me buying the development rights along the corridor, so that when we go down the corridor, we see ag, that's what we need to know. But that's not my decision, that's your decision. The other thing is, the commission gets requests all the time by developers and non-developers. The one they just declined or denied this last month was they wanted billboards. We've historically been a non-billboard county. The only billboards in Morgan are in Morgan City, because we don't run Morgan City. And they deny that. They did not want to lose the view shed of Morgan County. They didn't want a bunch of billboards along our highway. They wanted Morgan to stay Morgan. So without you guys giving the feedback that, yeah, we don't want billboards, we don't want to lose our view shed, we don't want any more lost for dark skies designation in these meetings, we have no teeth to fight. Cool. That's my stump speech, but I'm here all night. So, okay. And
Okay. Awesome. All right. I'm going to turn the time over for the activities that already. I know we're going to get out of here. We might get out of here early.
You're letting Valerie off early, you know, any other questions for her before? So this is where this meeting is going to change a little bit. We are very much looking at visions and values tonight. And we each have a different idea of what that is. And we're looking at both in your neighborhood, your smaller communities. We're also looking at the county as a whole tonight. So keep that in mind as we go through visions and values. We have you at tables tonight. The reason for that is because we want to have your ideas written on paper so we know what it is, but we also want you to talk to each other. Because we all know that, as has been said, we don't know what we don't know. As we talk together as a community, we're going to be able to pull out those visions and values that are important, that you want to see maintained, or even the ones that you don't want to see maintained. And we need to get that down so that as this process continues on, we'll be able to refer back to that information so we can keep the plan going in a direction that meets what Morgan County is to its residents. Does that make sense so far? Any questions? You guys are really fine. Yes, sir. Yes.
2 years ago, we did the church people. 2 years ago,
we can't. When did they do the Milton survey? Was it 2 years ago?
I mean, 2 years ago, sorry, 2 years ago, we did that area plan. It was in 2. Yeah, we shot a survey. No issue, no stop. Did you guys get copies of our survey?
Not the survey, but the plan that you created. If you want us to have copies of the survey, we will take all the documentation you want to give us.
So, I can. So, all of those surveys, because we're on the committee, we have that documentation, it's all online. It was never brought before the commission. So I perfectly elected a meeting to be able to present it. There's only been one. One, Mountain Green Peterson one was brought forward, and it was adopted last year. And I want to say there's another one that got brought, and it's just kind of like, we don't manage. There's no really any data. I believe the one in the Milton area, all put together, there's a lot of data. It's a good compilation. It just needs to be brought to the commission so we can then, and I've spoken to that, like, this needs to get done. So, that data that you have is provided. And there's, I think we have 300 or something responses. There is a lot of information.
So I need to nag you.
I'm sorry.
I need to nag. I'm talking to video.
Yeah.
And so I need to nag you for that data.
I remind me, I will remind you.
And see, that's exactly why these meetings are happening. Because this data, this information that has happened in the past, Valerie and I won't know anything about that until you tell us. And so this is perfect. What was, we have next over here?
My name is Smokey Gilroy. I live on Stoddard Lane. I lived there for over 60 years. I've watched many things change in our county. One thing that never changes is traffic. I'm concerned with the safety in Enterprise. The big thing that I think needs to go in any general plan is safety of the citizens. You drive through Enterprise, come up behind two bicyclers going 15 miles an hour. People are swerving into oncoming traffic, which I've done. I think the general plan should thoroughly investigate bike paths.
Okay.
Amen.
Bypass. We, yeah, we heard something similar to that on Monday, so this is good. We're getting great information coming back.
I don't bike, but I used to work with somebody that was an advocate. I've been in school. They have extensive bike paths. You know how many of the cyclists that ride on the road use those bike paths? Zero. So is our tax dollars going towards a bike path for somebody that's coming up and down the canyon to not use beneficial?
So can I, because I know this,
I think one of the concerns I have is that the bikers are not respecting the drivers. They ride in 2, 3, and 4, and they will not fence down so that you can go around them. They stay and they talk and they just talk and
so we've been working with the sheriff. So this is specific to the bicyclist issue, if you can't hear. So technically by law, they can ride 2 abreast unless we pass an ordinance that says they have to be single file, which we are.
I think for more than knowledge, it should be seen. It's a very
I think that should just be countywide. I don't know if you've ever driven 2 abreast on Old Highway, but it's suicide. So we're working on that. 2, we're working with the sheriff on enforcement. 3, we're working with the Morgan Valley Trails Foundation, which is predominantly all the main cycling groups, on education of their groups, because they're the big groups that get together and do that, on educating them that, yes, you do have to follow the stop signs. No, you cannot go 4 abreast. Yes, you do have to yield to oncoming traffic, especially if they have a freaking cattle trailer. Like, we don't stop very fast. So we are working on that as far as the trail and taxpayer dollars. Morgan County did not do a study, but we are part of a regional area, every county is, called Wasatch Front Regional Council. And so that's us, Weber, Tooele, somebody else, James Davis. And obviously, those counties have a lot more money, so we let them pay for us. So they did a study on the ideal trails, what the bike trails would be in Morgan County, because we already know it, but if they want to pay for a study to tell them something I'm not going to do, that's fine. So they did a study of doing a 6-foot wide bike trail along Old Highway, all the way down. The cost for the trail, not including the cost of buying the land from the people to build it, was $34.2 million. Just to build the trail.
Don't you have enough room on the shoulders of your road?
Not on the highway.
In Enterprise, you do have enough room on the shoulders of the road to make a 6-foot bike.
But that doesn't make it contiguous. And I can't do for Enterprise what I can't do for Stoddard. So That was the pond. There's no shoulder. It's a sheer gravel.
No, we don't have that.
And without the state and federal grants to get it repaved, it would have not been repaved last year. So I hear the need, but part of it's educating bikers, the traffic. But to build a 6-foot trail, which is the standard now size for bike width, bike path along Old Highway, it's $34.2 million, and that amount was as of June of 2024. And that's without, I asked Bob, I said, Bob, you want this trail? Your yard or your neighbor's? And he's like, well, I prefer the neighbor's yard. Well, everyone's gonna prefer the neighbor's yard. So that's also the hard part, is whose 6 foot of frontage in their yard am I gonna take? Even if I had $34.2 million, which I don't, to build a trail. So the trail we're working on right now, which is been approved by the Utah Trails Network, actually goes through the UDOT right of way. So it gets off our roads entirely and stays along the trail path, and then it'll take them all the way from Mountain Green to the rail trail through Reese's. So I can get them on a path and design it in a way that they'll use it and not just hang out on the highway. And that's the safe route. It's just get them off the road. Now, the commonality that I've heard from people that are anti-cyclists is I just got to the point where if I see someone in spandex, I aim for them. Please don't do that. Okay. Don't hate on the spandex.
Really hard is when they use my yard to do as a restroom. My thought, oh, cute, even while watching, they're doing it.
Well, we are,
What the heck?
we'd like to know your address. 'Cause that's- So we are also in the process of buying well, not buying, they're giving us the dirt spot that is technically UDOT owns our dirt spot. And there'll be bathrooms put in there, and hopefully the king can commiserate there, hang out there and not pee in the flower bed.
I hope so.
But let me get your address, because I'm sure there's some legalities there that aren't legal.
Yeah, because I
Some
would be
stuff you don't
thinking,
need to
what
see.
the heck? That's not what I do.
Yes,
And on that note, I mean,
sorry.
you have to legally have a license plate to drive your car so that the cops can do something. You have to legally have an ID on you for the cops to pull you over on your bike. You have to have a license plate. So what are we gonna get out of, okay, we're gonna have a cop and do with the cops?
They've actually been really receptive to it, to be quite honest. Now, these,
But my point is, if they don't have to have ID and they don't have to have a license plate, what are the cops gonna do then?
they know who these people are. They really are your neighbors. They are not a bunch of people coming up.
Oh, no, they're.
We need to have a dirt spot from the park.
I'm the head coach of Morgan High School, my team. So I would like to partner with you, so that they can do.
Well, we're gonna Josh Simmons, Justin Reese, and then Trails Foundation, are you on that? Okay,
I would like you to thank the community at large for the overall support. We have one of the better places for. And some basin, right, as much as possible. You see a Morgan driver. Hurting. And they need something in progress. You see a Morgan rider. Really appreciate it, give them space over.
and Morgan County has the largest mountain bike. Morgan County School District has the largest mountain bike. In county.
Second place in the state, lost by 0.3%. And
And we are in the process, East Canyon State Park is in the process of building a NICA course. Don't ask me what that means, but it means something about bikes and it gets them up there.
it's a mountain bike course. Off.
There you go. Okay. Yeah,
I live in Everett, and we have I have an issue with gravel.
yeah.
Now, the word out. To our very respected drivers, I am ashamed, and I appreciate that. However, there are. I'm looking at the county could put a punish for freeway.
down to. Down the line, down to, Geneva, Washington. A lot of that gravel is really long. And that would get some of this traffic. And you got these people from the valley that ride bicycles. I walk that road every day. And I can always tell when there's only one bicycle. And they're side by side, and I'm not paying any attention to anybody else. So, and people that drive these big trucks, they have their driving. And the other problem is parents are allowing their kids riding the electric bikes down the roads. They're not age to be on the highways, they won't vehicle.
So that,
I think that needs to be.
it is, so the electric bikes and the other bikes, if they're not insured, they're not supposed to be on the road. If you call it in and our sheriffs get them, they will impound, which gets off the parents so much. Because they're gonna be like, I just told you about the neighbor kid, like, oh, the neighbor kid, I'm like. All on roll, yeah, we impound about 16 a year. The impound fees are like $600.
It's all about safety.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Along with everybody in this community, when we start inviting the sheriff here. I deal with the sheriff's office more than anybody in this room. And
We need to be meeting.
no, in everyday life, yeah, invite him to these meetings. I do.
Me too.
And, all of your guys' comments about safety and stuff, I think the sheriff's office needs to know. Because they kind of just turn their back.
Same here.
You probably wouldn't play, especially during the summer. Then, when the time we were there. I think the money all the time, because when we don't have enough people to fix them on the road and fix them on the highway. I said, but someone's gonna get hurt and children and the adults. And we need to have some speed bumps.
We're getting the radars. Mayor, full highway. And see.
They need information about. Because they're not in semi truck now. They said it's not being a set. Until the ice, some stuff was about they, now we're going to be Stoddard, now we're going to be and I said, well, it's short, I mean, that the next one is run me over.
Okay.
No. I was like, woo. Please, fun off topic. However, I'm listening to them.
It's really bad.
There's something like, I don't know that. We have a very small budget. Doesn't mean it's not a discussion with board else or, and I have that on. I texted Cory. And he's got them.
Ask Cory about Joe. He'll tell you about Joe.
But yeah, we are, the hard part is especially with those, so we're talking about the signs that we put up on. You come on 92 and you're going in on Morgan, like you're coming from Ogden and you're going into Morgan, and we got all those signs.
Well, when they come to me in the Young Street, then they go straight line into the river. They've gotten it. And someone is, the semi trucks are any better. Someone's gonna get hurt there too, and we really don't want it. My neighbor coming within 30 minutes.
Okay, so I'm hearing, truck traffic, mountain bike traffic, speed.
Yeah.
Yes,
Speeding's been
Last thing, Steve's. Very big sign. Entering your place in there. You're crossing the way.
you ever heard the joke where someone's like, why would you tell her to cross there? Why are you putting a sign there? You're putting an enterprise on.
And there's some speed limit. Think about that. Speed. Have a sign that says, this now. So, it's the best.
Try to keep you off the road. Overall, what do you think? Cool. I drive on the northern zone. Quite a bit. There's about 3 weeks a month. You got traffic enforcement. I will safety check and the leadership. Well, I guess a whole damn bunch of trucks. Because what it start to come to, the road up around valley, come the off freeway, north, come through town, right down the street, and I turn to go all the way down Northern Valley Road. Also, highway patrol. Which, here, you got crossing. You know what? They wouldn't even return the call. Part of the sheriff's office. They can't do that. So, what do you want? You can't get any help. You know, you gotta have some support from the police if they get.
Here we go.
And it doesn't seem
I also know
like
we have
anyone-
one shift. Any given time. Yeah,
But how many firemen do we have stationed at a building that just sits there on the full time?
they don't get paid unless they get called out. Then we don't have a single full-time firefighter except for chief. Everyone's paid part-time.
That
volunteer.
man fire station down there in Peterson now.
Oh, that was.
I thought that fire station, it was now that fire station.
On call.
So the people that are sitting there all day long are all not getting paid.
So we have paid part-time here because they're medics, and then the rest are volunteer. They get called out, they get a day stipend, it's like $120, and then they get paid if they get called. Hey, yeah, Dave Vickers was the guy that was up there. He retired at the end of the year. He's paid by the state. He's the one everyone complains to me about because his truck's always in front of Deb's Spicy Pie. And I was like, I can't, you don't work for me. There's no.
Okay, first, I want to hear Bryce Hudson. I want to hear what this young lady has to say about our area plan and how we're going to develop. We spent, we were the same group, we spent 2 years ago, we spent time to how we wanted the area, our area to develop and start. It's never seen the planning commission's desk. I want to know where that plan is. I want to know why we're not implementing those.
We are. They have them. They never got brought forward.
Why?
Not the one that brings forward.
And I know on the Milton one, because the person who was designated by our group, his name was up.
Only one person do that.
Well, it's whoever, so I don't know, so the Milton group was myself and Roger, there's one. And that group designated one person to do this. I don't know what the story is.
We are, this just started.
If you have,
That goes.
and that's what.
You got 8 guys that have that same plan. One falls through and another step up to do the job.
Yes, we had designated one person, we designated one, he has all, I just texted him. Enterprise, Stoddard.
Yes. There's more information that you have, yeah, with Stoddard.
On Saturday, we turned it in.
Okay.
They want to plan this out.
Yeah.
It's already about, but we're still gonna take, at the end of the day, the whole thing's getting rewritten. But it's like essentially basing off these area plans instead of here's the plan and independencies, here's the area. So instead of that, which that was the original format is, let's take the area plans and make one county plan with what the areas. That makes sense? So instead of like a subsection, it is.
What do you need from us?
That's where we're going. So, yeah, so what we're doing now is we're going to start gathering your input on visions and values for the community so that we can start planning the next step of directing the conversation and bringing in the right data, the right people to be able to continue on with that plan. So on your table, you should all have a packet of 3 pieces of paper. We're on page 1 right now. Now, this is for you to fill out yourself and talk about with your neighbors that are here. The very first one is describe a moment. So describe a moment when you felt most connected to your community. Now, when you're thinking about that, think of both your neighborhood, your area right there, and connecting with the county. Get some information on both, the county as a whole. When did you feel connected? The reason why this is important is because this starts to be able to define within the plan those values that we want to see continue. Was it an event that happened where you lost power for a week? And your neighbors came and helped you out for that time? Was it a time when you were at the football game and your kid was right there and the next thing you know, the neighborhood came together to celebrate that? What was it that an incident, an event that made you actually feel connected in your community? So let's take a few minutes, start writing stuff down. There's not a long answer. This is from you, for us, so we can start to be able to develop that idea of what the values and vision is of this community.
Let's make sure it depends.
Does everybody have a pen or something?
Oh, you got a pen? You got a one right now?
What was that? My or yeah, that's it. You write it out when you want.
Yeah, just gonna say, wait, did they finish?
Yeah. It's 930. Chambers. Suite 2. And that's that block. 844.
All right. Fine. And I've got 3 to thank you.
Yeah.
Live on road and.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That monkey survey is going around.
Oh,
You guys in charge of that. Also, the circuit on there, a lot of that is the same. It's a little bit different, but
Yeah, this one is a little more, descriptive, like, the other one, yeah, more fun.
This one's more from your heart to be able to figure out what community means and feels like. And then when you're done with that first question, the second one is identify facilities in the county that are missing, that should be restored, preserved, or created to build a strong community. And we'll talk about that one in a second. Yeah, feel free to turn your chairs around to the table if you want to. Talk to each other. Yes, this is the ooey gooey feeling, and that's what we're looking for. Really is. And then as you come up with something, if you have something you want to share with the group to help stimulate the thoughts or ideas, we would love to hear them. So if you would like to share, let me know.
Say like the county fair. Everything was the best.
The county fair is a really great place to bring that back.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, that's a great one to get down, that the county fair helps to bring community together. What else helps to bring the community together or makes you feel connected? Any other ideas? The parade? What parade? Or all the parades? All the parades. 4th of July. That's, and it just with the gathering of people or? That's a great one. So we've got the county fair for 4th of July parade. What else? What events have really made you feel like a community? Yes. One of the great. Get everybody out to help. We can talk about that a little bit more in just a minute. So resiliency, that's great. Community willing to come out and help each other during those events. So now, what are some things that are missing that you may have had in the past, or that you would really feel bad if are missing in the future? What are some qualities within the county that if they weren't there, or if they were there in the past that aren't here anymore, that you're really missing? Almost free. There we go. What else? The other day we heard the newspaper was something that was really missed. Yes. Private ski resort? Okay. Not being able to use the resources within the county as you used to be able to do. Okay, that is a great one. Yes, second back. Search and rescue. You know what? We'll give you some more. It does. And, okay,
So it's missing. Okay,
it's missing. Search and rescue. Thank you. What else? Horse trails. Horse trails, that's a great one, thank you. Because that also lends itself to the whole feel of the county. We've got no place to raise their horses, how can we be a county, country county? That's a great one. What else? A swimming pool, so a gathering place for those types of things. Okay, that's a good one too, something that's missing. Awesome. Oh, this is great, guys. You guys are coming up with some great ideas. And I hope you're writing them down just as much as we are up here. Any other thoughts? Now, you have all the time in the world to keep working on this as you want to, but we're going to go ahead and jump ahead. How many people have heard of a SWOT analysis? An SWOT. Has anybody? A few? So a SWOT analysis identifies strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, for here in Morgan County, that was really important for the commission to find out what you think about as a SWAT. Now, on our page, this is going to be about your local community. But as you think of things that also our county as a whole, we've got sticky notes, Post-it notes, and a big county board at the back. But think, for the paper, think about your community. You're talking about like
Milton, Stoddard. and
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so strengths could include, what do we really have in our community that's working well or makes us proud? That's a strength. Weakness is what things inside our community that aren't working as well as they should, or that hold us back. So what's not letting us move forward? Opportunities include things like, what good things outside our community could we take advantage of and bring here? So what do you want to bring in that's working really well someplace else that you think would work right here? And then threats, we all can think of threats, trust me. What challenges or outside pressures could hurt our community in the future? And then finally, we've added an R, and that's the resilience. And we've heard a little bit about that today already with the floods and that kind of thing, windstorms. What helps our community bounce back or adapt when things go wrong, or when we're faced with new challenges we didn't expect? So for community, for your neighborhood, write that down here. If you have anything that is a county-wide SWAT mark, put that on a sticky note. We'll stick those on the board and back. Yes, sir. Sure, there are pressures on our community that aren't taking us where we want to go. Please do.
You make a plan, it means nothing when it gets in front of elected officials, unless it's the little guy trying to subdivide their lot where there's a son. The plan matters. But when big development shows up, that means what? For example, we had a vision. It represented this community more than any plan ever done in this community. And more involvement in making of a plan. That vision called for these mountains out here, a unique feature of this community, to be preserved. We had a zoning for that mountain that helped preserve it. And we had a future zoning map to maintain that zoning to help preserve it. And the minute big money came to this community, the vision meant nothing, the zoning meant nothing. We ended up with a private ski resort. And every commissioner, there's 7 of them except one, stood up and said they were voting for that. They gave 2 primary reasons. One, tax dollars. Money was more important than what the community as a whole wanted. And 2, they believed that it was private property and that the owners of private property should be able to do whatever they wanted. And if that's the case, we should have no zoning. We should have no general plan. We don't need it, if that's the case. And if our elected representative won't honor and respect these plans, they're meaningless. And so our greatest threat, at least when it comes to planning, are elected officials that have that mentality. And if we want to have that mentality, then we don't have a democracy. Because the only people in this community that will determine how this community would grow will be developers and landowners and not the community and the citizens.
Yes, ma'am.
What he just said, because I was part of that planning area plan that went nowhere. We put it together. So let's just their land. That year, we worked tirelessly. We had neighbors that neighbors being glad.
Yeah.
It went on and on. That ski resort was never to happen. They traded our land, our forest land, for a private ski resort. If any of you remember, and I think they time, they were 10-acre lots and no There were multi-million-dollar homes, but not even that for a school system. That ski resort's gonna make us a bundle of money, but it's private. They were never townhouses, resort communities up there, whatever they're doing, like, you can't go up there. Work County's lost because the commissioners bowed down and it's their property now because they gave our forest land, our government land, away to a private entity. And that should never happen, and we need to be more proactive. And as far as I'm concerned, when you go out on the web, everybody needs to have that on their cell phone or their computer. Morgan County has to be more outright and telling the public what's going on if they're going to treat the land, private. We darn well need to know about it. It's just not this little, we're having this CO 225 change to R or whatever. No one knows CO 225 is, and this code is that. It needs to be spelled out and tell us what the heck is going on. Because if we let it all happen, we sit home watching TV and here it is, we got it. And they're doing what they want to do. Same way with Milton. They're developing down there, it's, in my opinion, it's a nice one already, and it's so cute. But the developers coming in, rezoning, whatever, storage shed, wow, that makes Morgan absolutely a go-to place.
Thank you for that. And I really do. So this is our second meeting. We're doing it by community. This is our second one so far. I really, truly do believe things like what Kate has said. That very first meeting, she left, went to her office, grabbed the business cards for all the elected officials and everything like that. And she said numerous times, as well as the commissioners that were here, grab our cards, make sure you have our numbers and your cell phones. What our experience has been so far is that they are very interested in hearing what's going on, what the pain points are.
What's been placed in front of them and they still disregarded it besides.
Well, one thing to remember though, those 7 people are no longer on for a reason.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, about
We need representation that's gonna stay with the people.
the way that happens is when the people stay engaged. Now, just like you were saying previously, so please take cards. We definitely want to hear that. So that was a fantastic threat that was brought up. What about some strengths? What are some strengths that you can identify within your communities? Your neighbors. Knowing who your neighbors are, and then watching out. How about some weaknesses? Yeah. That's so fair, absolutely. How about some opportunities? Oh, that was great. Thank you
Just want to
so
like
much.
something out though, his neighbor is his dog.
All right, we're not talking about that. We have family discussions on Monday, so we'll move on. How about resilience? When you look at resilience, what makes your community resilient to the happenings that happen?
Community, the camaraderie, people that grew up.
Awesome. So I'm hearing even through the different categories, what I'm hearing is that what really is bringing this community that is able to mitigate a lot of this is that you know each other, that you're watching out for each other. And am I hearing that correctly? That when things happen, you're there for each other. And that's also what you're wanting to see continue, which is why things like the bigger development is making you feel uncomfortable and uneasy. Because
They don't care about what's going on in here, because they got their private little farm.
and you're looking for something that as the county does grow, because it will, and that you're looking for things that will invite the people that will become part of the community instead of those ones that come in and come in. Am I hearing that correctly? Okay, I think so. All right, the last activity we have, and like I said, feel free to keep writing in this. The information will all be compiled so we can find those trends and those things that everybody is saying, which this is awesome. Yes, sir. Yes.
I have a problem. Have no community pride in their own home.
Uh-huh.
And they make their lawn, that they don't take care of anything around them, or they're making, and they make their lawns, cooking lawns for old cars.
Yes.
And they say, we can't do anything because we're doesn't have COVID.
Okay, so.
We'll get you in touch with the staff, with the code enforcement. Yeah.
That's something that can be mitigated. We have people here that can help do it.
On the flip side of that.
Yes.
Part of being a rural community is a farmer being able to have his little truck, his little tractor.
Farms? Yeah, farms are not clean.
That's what it is, but when it becomes like 14 and 15 old vehicles that are just in the lawn, just sitting there. But he has to drive past it.
Good talk.
Probably, yeah, just-
Okay, but, absolutely, and we'll get you connected, and so, absolutely, thank you for bringing that up.
On an HOA over.
No, yeah.
But it would be nice to at least have somebody say, hey, can't you water your lawn or cut it or
But you just move about.
can you move that car behind the house instead of in front of the house?
Yeah, which goes to that community feel, what do you want, do you want the community to look? Yes,
That's the guy they need to talk.
yeah, right here in the red, that's the guy. We'll keep him in here in the building for you. All right, yes, sir.
As a farmer, and have many friends as a farmer. Every year, if it's low, orchard's gone. We could put on low water. Weaver Basin said, no, you can't do it. Them big boys on the mountain. Just tell Weaver Basin, we want 200 and some shares, acres.
Yeah.
Water, tank, they got.
So there's a threat that needs to be brought out, is that the water isn't going to the producers instead of the recreation. Great call out.
1862.
Right.
They're going in up there, they're changing things around. And I talked to the state about, well, if you have a problem, you have to do all the work and then bring them through too. They don't want to help out.
That's frustrating, and I hear what you're saying, that when you're out there on your own until you bring everything to the officials that they think about taking it that last.
But we worry about the aquifers.
Yes.
Because if they're down, taking water away from their aquifers, we're all gonna be in trouble.
Absolutely. All right, yes, sir.
Just a further reminder, sometimes there's a major water grant. The state's going on, and I'm sure it's gonna come back. That's pretty good. It's very active and very strong and very hard to work.
Right, yeah, that will definitely change the way the community is right out the country. Yes, great point. Thank you. All right, I want everybody to put on their future hat. Thinking about the future, we said think about this 20 years from now, and some people get mad at us because they're like, I don't want to be here in 20 years, I want to forget. We've heard that. So I want you to think about the people that are coming next for your family, your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids. And I want you to write a headline. As long as short as you want. And the headline is going to be a statement describing what your ideal community is in the future. we say 20 years because we're looking out there for ways, so we have something to grab towards. So write down, if you have that headline, you are able to write up the newspaper article or that Facebook post or whatever it is. What would you say your community is in 20 years or more?
More guns.
More guns, GUNS.
More guns.
I love this exercise. I'm not gonna lie. This has been, this is the best part.
And that's when I get to do it. So think about that headline, write it out. What is your community 20 or more years from now? What are you leaving to your kids, your grandkids? What don't you want to leave to your kids and grandkids? And then the last one for this exercise is your like, I like, or I wish. What do you like most about Morgan County and your community? And what do you wish for the future of Morgan County and your community as it relates to this general plan? So go ahead and work on that for a few minutes. I want to give it about 3 or 4 minutes before I invite you to the back. And we will be around for the wrap up in about 4 or 5 minutes. Okay, so we'll finish that up in just a second. So the headlines of the I wish and I like. And I'm hearing some themes for some great headlines. If you're ready to leave, feel free to leave your paperwork here. We'll collect it because we need this back. But if there's anybody that would like to share your headline, we'd love to hear it.
Like the family having children to be a part of the community.
Uh-huh.
And I wish that would continue because I think that's where the pride of your community comes up, is the upbringing in the community and follow through with their children.
That totally makes sense. The families that come and help build up the community together as a family, then the posterity takes it from there. They're imbued with those same values of building and bringing it forward. Absolutely. Yes,
I'm 5th generation in this valley.
Yeah.
I have 3 grandkids. They are 7th generation at full site. They don't want to live anywhere else.
that is phenomenal. That is, and so why?
But the problem is, will they ever build before?
Oh, now that,
Because I have to give my daughter a piece of ground so she can build her house on. That's what I'm getting at.
that is great, great
Back
point.
to the point of, you've got a piece of land, you ought to be able to do what you want, and if you want to give it to your kids and they want to build a house on it, you ought to be able to.
That is a great, we have that conversation happening right here at this table on Monday, that same desire. So that is great. What is an opportunity on the SWAT, to be able to have the plan to be able to support that kind of thing. It's also a threat that people cannot afford, our families cannot afford to have that next generation here. Here and then over here. Yeah.
Well, one more problem with that is, it took my daughter a year and a half, $30,000 to finally get through this county bullshit. To be able to build
a house.
My grandson, amen, that.
And we have a
situation right now.
for the people from here, like a priority for that or some way that they can be a forefront of that instead of having to go through all that crap.
So at that point, I have a feeling you'd be dealing with some legal issues of discrimination, segregation, that kind of thing, but it's definitely something that we can bring up, the fee structure, that kind of thing. And then over here, you have?
So with this, and it's probably more of a question for you, that, okay, there's the laws that we have to have low income housing. Well, definition, what is low income housing? And by definition, if it is low income housing, if somebody has, 800 acres that they are going to go develop, and they have to have so much low income housing, is there a stipulation that, so this section of your low income housing to sell it for more than this amount of money so that it can be in low income? Because what I've seen in too many times is low income means high density, which just means I can still sell it for as much as a lot. And the house is still outside of reach of anybody in here being able to get there.
I see you were nodding yes on that.
So the state has the moderate income housing element that is required for general plans for pretty much most of the state. There's a few exceptions, smaller counties and stuff. So there is by definition, affordable housing has different increments of less than 30% of the area income, and then it has a tier of 60 and then 60 to 70. So there really isn't a good answer. In my schooling, it was always called a wicked problem, which means it doesn't have an answer, it doesn't have a solution. They just come in to be somewhat heavy-handed on making that a requirement. They haven't gone so far as to maybe like in California, like there's some very restrictive things and all that. In my experience, I've just seen the developers use it as an excuse to be able to get density, right? Like, oh, well, we have to have the housing and it's not affordable. And so, but each of the jurisdictions just have to demonstrate that they're not, so in grants, there's called impediments to housing, like when you do, the word, it's a certain kind of grant. Anyway, it's better to focus more on like making sure you're not impeding housing, right? Versus than the specific of what all of it would mean, right? And I mean, it is true that your affordable housing really is affecting like the regular people, your kids, teachers, right? Like there are these people that are falling into these income brackets. And so you do want to be a community where somehow, somewhere you're providing something like that. But what you're getting,
And that's my
that
point, is absolutely we need low income housing. But can anybody tell me of anything that's less than, $1,500, $2,000 a month rent, especially if it's less than 5 years old?
Right.
All these people, we want low income housing, and I couldn't afford to live in it.
correct. Correct. So it's a wicked problem because you have the cities and the counties that are being beat up by the state saying, shame on you, you guys are making this. And that's the stupidest thing ever because
My point of it, though,
that's
is
not where.
it's fine to have living. But what's not fine is having the developer out that this is what we're doing, so we get this density, but it not actually be.
Correct.
Coming from the
$750,000
Yeah.
that is
Coming from the county, there should be a ordinance stipulation, whatever, that as part of your development. Like giving land for a park. Something,
be
we're
restricted.
gonna designate this chunk of property that we can only have houses that the cap of rent is gonna be.
Correct.
And you don't get to make your billions of dollars developing this. You're gonna flip something to build this low income housing like this.
And
Correct.
if I,
There's ways of structuring that with deed restrictions and things like that, but then.
and if I could jump in on that as well. So Valerie and I, of course, we're hearing and reading about all of this happening all the time. We hear, we get the updates and that kind of thing about what the state is trying to require and who they're partnering with to set those guidelines and that kind of thing. That's really where this deck of cards here and your input is really so beneficial. We hear time and time again through the other organizations that are working on development and that kind of thing, that this is what the people want. And that goes up to the state, and the next thing you know, the governor or others are going, this is what they want. So and the counties and the cities aren't giving that to us, so we're going to do this. Really, this is where our representative government really comes into play. As you can inform, because there's way more ears out here to hear what's going on than what is happening in Salt Lake and Capitol Building. As you're able to give that input and that that pressure to your local government and then have them bring that up. That's where that communication really starts to be. And then what happens is as more of us get involved with that, those folks down at Capitol Hill in Salt Lake City can't hide behind well, no, this is what we're told because we had the meeting. And the only people that showed up were these 5 developers and this one neighbor. And all of a sudden, it makes it very much imbalanced. We were just talking about this last night, where it's like, no, that's not. And the players that were there, it's like, well, of course, the players that were there being quoted are going to say this. But that's where we have to start changing that mindset, where you've got 7 generations here in Morgan County that are all building up Morgan County. We need more of that, because those are the voices, when we start getting those generational voices to get back up to the stage, so the stage then starts to understand, no, we appreciate that you've got your lobbyists and the people that are pushing on you there. But I might have 5 people show up in that office. If I vote this way, I'm going to end up having all of Morgan County show up at my doorstep. And I know we've all heard it. I know we all are hearing, as we've heard today, we heard on Monday, we've done all this work. The elected officials didn't listen. We show up more often, they start listening more. And that's why we are really excited about this process here, what the commission has focused us on about this community engagement. People are actually listening, and they know they are. Yes, sir. You're back.
So my question is, if I'm not mistaken, I think everybody in the room non-septic system. And you have requirements of lot sizes for septic system. You're on a water system that reduces it. My question to you is, low income housing part, is how do you address unincorporated Morgan County to get low income housing? Because of a lot of requirements, and then trying to put a house on top of it pushes you over that threshold. So how are you implementing low income housing incorporated Morgan County?
That is a great question, and that's what I was gonna also add to your question, was the state gets very myopic and going, everybody is gonna need to like follow, this is the box and this is what you have to do, right? But every city, because there are so many cities in Utah, and other states where cities are a lot bigger, so they can be everything to everyone, right? But you're looking at cities that have 10,000 people in it, that have 10,000 people in it. And it's not gonna be the end all, like, you're not gonna be able to have every zoning district that you could ever possibly have. You're not gonna be able to provide other affordable housing. That would not be the situation, like you said, to be in septic, to have that. You're gonna have to think, there's gonna have to be either more creativity or part, like, the one thing I worked for a city that was like, oh my gosh, they were next to a city that truly did have a ton of affordable housing, especially at that point. This was pre-COVID. And they were like, wait, but they're right, they're so close. Why are we not partnering? Why are we not looking at this more as a region? And so the approach is gonna be more of a region situation, in terms of being able to meet those requirements, so that when it is appropriate, when there is services, when there are the sewer, the water, to be able to have that, that's going to be where it needs to be put. Same thing with any discussion on growth, right? Like, where are the best places to put growth? Because we are in a growing state, but it isn't. It's just as simple like, oh well, we're going to make that lot have the high density affordable housing, right? The other thing that isn't easy, I should say easy, but the state has required jurisdictions to have what they call internal dwelling units. So like your basement could be turned into an apartment, that counts as an affordable housing. So the county itself, unincorporated rural, is probably not going to be providing all of that, but if they're able to say, hey, but we're not impeding, which again, we love the state that they can come in and force jurisdictions to do their things, because you have to allow those into internal dwelling units. You can you're able to still say, well, we're doing something, we're doing department meeting. So, I don't have a good answer for you yet. This has just started. But as we dive into that, there'll be more information, but
Correct me if I'm wrong. State said, Utah State said that the low income housing thing is $75,000. Nobody can buy a home at $75,000. I'm sorry, there's not a mortgage on the planet that's going to give you the ability to do that. So with that being said, these low income housing have to be part of this. They have to be, you can't even buy a tiny home for $75,000 a year income. So where he's coming from is, and where Milton's coming from is where we're going to put these parks into for you. We're going to put them up Deep Creek, we're going to put them in Stoddard, we're going to put them over in Peterson, we're going to put them in Mountain Green.
It'd be nice, we're working on Mountain Green tomorrow, so.
So with that, maybe it's something of a tiered impact fee that if it's, you're going to give your son or daughter a lot and they are going to build a house, their impact fee is here. If you are subdividing your 40-acre, 100-acre lot of property into this, your impact fees go up. And part of that impact fee is helping fund, because it can't be in this neighborhood, but it's enabling it to happen in Mountain Green where there's sewer, in Morgan City where there is sewer.
that's more of that regional approach. Like we've got like the solutions for a wicked problem. Because there really isn't any, you have to be thinking out of the box. Like, that is exactly where you have to say, okay, we're meeting the code, but meeting what's required, but here's how we're accomplishing it. And that's, yeah.
And with the tiered impact, that way, those of us that are long-term residents, have been here forever, but just trying to get by, are not affected nearly as much as the, oh, Oregon looks like a great place to live. I hate living in wherever I am. I want to come up here and I can pay cash for this. Because I moved from California, yeah, you can go ahead and pay for all of this because you have money to do so.
Great point.
We kind of talked about this before. As growth comes to Morgan, and it's going, we can't hold it back. The water, where are we gonna get the water? Because it's already restricted up in some of the areas. I'm thinking, are we gonna truck water in homes? I mean, that's gonna be a real issue.
That is the limiting factor. Well, there's two. The water, and then you guys don't have sewer. So that in of itself is self-limited. And you say you don't want it, and that is because it brings other things. It does.
So before we continue, well, we've got time for more questions. Absolutely, Valerie and I are here as long as we need to. But I know that there's some people that are getting ready to,
We're at time.
to get on it because we're at time. But we'll be here to answer as many other questions as you have. Our next steps, so that you're aware, we have the resident questionnaire that's going until the 24th of November. It's on the project website. You can get to that both from the county website or directly to morgancounty.planetusa.com. Then right now, we're in the middle of the water use and preservation element. There's information that is on our project site about that right now tonight. And then we're going to have future resident community meetings tentatively scheduled for April of next year, where we've got open houses that will be scheduled, and of course, all of the legally required meetings that we have to have before adoption, which we're looking at in just over a year or so. So be sure to stay. We did earlier to have the sign sheet go around. If you did not sign in, please do. You can sign up for updates on the project right there on that page there. And so we want to make sure we get that back. I want to thank you for you taking the time here tonight. We do a number of these over the years, and we'll do the whole program for 6 people. So far, Morgan County has been absolutely awesome. We've had a full house both nights, and I'm sure that's going to continue for the next 2. But we really do want to hear those comments that you have as you think of them. The website has our contact information on it. You can absolutely let your elected officials know. They'll get the information back to us. But this is the beginning. This is not the end. We're not even bringing it in the middle. You're here at the beginning. And your input and conversations, thank you for being so respectful to each other, to us. This has been a lot of fun tonight. So with that, anybody that needs to leave, feel free. Otherwise, we're here all night. Valerie, you want to come back?
Before I put these, I want to go back to this guy's comment for a second.
Yes.
Love your comment, by the way. Your officials are elected. So if anybody in here wants to get rid of them, let's get together.
That same official that turns his back on you, that you elected, he gets bought out or whatever like that, and then the next guy comes.
I would be silly. This is not on the side. You want to, anybody who's going to do something legally, or I'll run. And you guys can support me. I'm all about legality, not everybody having their own person. I'm not rich. I don't have $1,000 a year, but I'm willing to stand up and go.
Leave your papers on your table. We'll collect them, or you can bring them up to us. But we're here for you. Valerie's got the maps in the back you can talk to her about. The SWAT is back there for anything you want county-wise. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I hope this is good. It's different. Yep, each one of them is different.
Get one of each.
Perfect.
Thank you, sir.
Right here in this pile?
Yes, please.
Okay. So in the city.
Perfect.
So it's,
Well, this is your county too. It's just because you're in the incorporated city that.
Hey, number 2, the other 2.
So, actually, no. The Monday night was, I think, was more rowdy than tonight was. Yeah, absolutely. But, I guess very similar themes. First off, the hearing and the implementation. I was very concerned that, we're doing it again, and are they going to listen? So, if you've ever gone through these plans with other companies and that kind of thing, you will very much find that their plans are very similar. Tweak here, how you, there you go, the boilerplate. The plans that Valerie is finishing are always finished, and which really surprises a lot of the lifer staff, because they're used to opening it up and, okay, yeah, this is going to be here, this is going to be there. And so far, over the years, the consistent thing we've had is, this is so much different than I thought it was going to be. We can actually do it. And that is what we're excited about. Here, water is a big deal, also the transportation element, very important for right here, for this group here. Monday night, it was a little bit different. It was more of the family cluster that took up a lot of that time. We want people to have our family on their lots of them, have their own space that, so, but it is also means that same value component that we're looking at right now is, people are looking for a place they feel comfortable raising their family and building their neighbors, without having to be worried about who they're introducing their kids.
Yeah.
That- Yes. So. And so, and so that's the reason why a plan like this is very, because it sets those big values and then it aligns, it gives a framework where the elected officials can align ordinances against something. Because let's be you, when the ordinances come out and that kind of thing, there is not a robust, governance. About what each law should be. It's, we've got, it's so here's, and so this plan, once it's done in 14 months or so, they'll give them a framework that they'll be able to go and go, we need to change these ordinances, and this is why. And what I love about it is that we start with change, and then when we get to the time when we're to adopt it, we have.
Here today,
Open.
veteran and all.
And
This is
public
like go-to
hearing.
lady for me.
So the committee gets have their.
She's amazing.
At the end, we have sprinkle them all through the middle of it, so.
So you
the
said
only
there's
people
a
that are being left behind are
lifeguard
the ones that decided
opportunity
they
to follow
get-
ordinance.
Yes,
You said?
Yeah.
It goes from here to here.
so right now we have to the dirt spot, and then there's a chunk of nothing.
Yeah, where, where land use, and so we work for, municipalities,
Yeah.
And not Morganville.
on
So
anything.
they'll
from-
follow the right way to Morgan, they'll connect to the Morgan Trail. So they're to the
We
Rim
also
Valley.
do daily
This is gonna get access
Oh.
to the rail trail.
So.
Nice, okay.
But then on the other.
The mountain bike team explores
Yeah.
things like the whole strawberry.
We are, because we're private, we're.
So I was like, I've
we're-
never seen.
We're private, Valerie.
And I was spending a lot of time.
Valerie owns me more than one way.
But,
We
usually I
get to
see.
pick and choose, we watch. Our- We pick the
Yeah.
developers that are interested in.
And I
in
bet
putting
there's more
product
people
in
who ride
that is
bikes
from-
if
we-
there was a
we
bike
turned
path,
away-
right?
Correctly built right
Decided-
now. Bike
Correctly
path,
built.
not an edge that sometimes gets gravel on it.
Yes.
And we never clean it.
Yeah, the claim is people are riding on the roads, that's maybe
But
true.
yeah, that's.
But there may be a lot more people that aren't riding now, because they don't want to get hit.
Yeah. And we've actually just had people say, yeah, if I see someone in spandex, I ain't for it.
Yeah.
Like, sure, put it, that's kind
I'm not like that.
So.
Yeah, and then there's.
Like down.
But
So the dirt spot,
that is a problem that we're seeing.
So I'm still working on.
Especially, I mean, it's happening all.
We're going to give me the dirt spot on wait on the deed for them to give. me
Where
the
the
dirt.
state has decided that they're.
But they said because it's refuse to refuse, they're not gonna charge. me.
And they
And I love
continually take away.
Anything from resources.
From local.
So I know I have the dirt spot, so
To do.
they're still working with that 7-Eleven. Station.
There was sweeping.
Sinclair Station, so they're like, when they redid their lots,
It
they
made them.
took out our
Rubber stamp
ADA
board.
access on one side.
Drives us absolutely insane.
So they are on notice, where they have, until I think, Q1 to fix
Yeah,
it.
it's always,
That's.
it's always, they.
Crosswalk,
And they.
right, because people want to not, so you don't road, so
Very.
the crosswalk.
Very.
Yes. I shouldn't get them to make it complaint.
Or.
Or fix it. So they're supposed to fix that, but fix it all the way to Kansas.
But yet they.
Adding more places to the use of that.
So.
We
Want to say.
not parking on the highway anymore. And then, so we'll have a dirt spot, and then the question mark is, do we go across to Cottonwood? Okay, stay in the frontage, and then go under. So you still have like the
Not.
that you got, like
You
your
change.
front road that.
Log out here and.
When you're coming from Morgan, there you see frontage road, you see people walking on it, you see them with their dogs on it, you see them hurting their fish.
Oh.
Yes.
And-
If I.
I usually have my iPad.
2.1. 2.1 miles.